What's up, everybody? It's me, JB, the ultimate writer from the Fight Bros podcast. I caught up with the boys, Lucas and Anaru, last night, and we had a chat about UFC 202, Diaz versus McGregor, the rematch. We talked about the press conference, etc. Talked about some of the implications of that. Also, there's a few betting tips there, and some of our own picks. Plenty for everyone. Let us know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for listening. Awesome. So, what's up, everybody? This is the third episode of the Five Bros podcast. You're with myself, JB. We also have.
Hey, kia ora mau, Anaru here, and we got the farmer as well, and we're talking 202.
Yeah, UFC 202, big one coming up. How are you, Lucas?
Yeah, not too bad.
Nice.
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good.
Nice. You were talking about having to sell a whole lot of chicken shit before. I didn't know you were doing the marketing for 202. Oh, yeah. So obviously, all of us caught the UFC 202 press conference. What did you think of that? Bit of water check. Connor.
I enjoyed it. I like that I like that stuff. Gets me excited.
Yeah, I'm the same, but different, eh? But different. We thought Connor was going to talk his talk, and he didn't really get to. Nate really took it over almost? You know what I mean?
Do you think that it was premeditated, as it's sort of been alluded to? If you saw the Rumble interview, and potentially Nate himself has sort of alluded to the fact that they planned the whole thing. Do you guys agree with that, or what do you think of that?
I don't know how premeditated. I think they might have come up with it when Connor was just late.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. I think fucking Nick was in the crowd, and he's like, "Fuck this, dude! Come on, let's bounce. Fuck this cunt."
Yeah, well, it definitely worked. If people out there have seen the latest embedded that Lucas pointed me to today, man, Connor looked incredibly rattled.
Yeah, episode 5, he was, very out of character for him. He was swearing and just, really worked out.
What do you guys think of the press conference itself, like, in that style of marketing that we've seen recently, especially if you're talking about a Conor fight? Do you think the marketing, that image for the sport, which is something they've actively been trying to fight for over 20 years now, is good or bad?
I think it's good for this particular fight. I think it's a bit different. Like, you have so many conferences that are boring, very, very boring, and you can have one out of the box every now and again. It doesn't hurt the sport, brings in casuals. As long as they don't, like, they're threatening to fine them, and apparently some little boy got hit, which I think was a load of BS, because he was with Nick representing with the represent. But yeah, man, it's all exciting. It gets a lot of casuals.
Yeah, I agree that it has a huge appeal, especially for a card that up until that press conference had kind of been a bit lackluster in the marketing side of thing. I didn't know about that little boy, but yeah, obviously if he's an affiliate with the Diaz crew, it's more likely that it's not genuine.
Yeah, sorry, as long as everyone's not doing it, McGregor and Diaz, that's their character. I don't have a problem with it happening at theirs, but if George St. Pierre starts doing it or something, then we've got a problem.
That would be very funny to see the robot George St. Pierre throwing water bottles. Hey you get the fuck out, guy. Hey you, fuck you, guy.
Leono starts flipping everyone off. Hey, fuck you, Brazil.
As long as he doesn't start throwing his drink bottles at
Yeah, yeah, fuck.
No, that's right. Like, yeah, like you say, if it's in character, then go for it. And yeah, those guys, they have been the major antagonists in whatever fight they've been selling. And when you get the two of them together like that, but you see the results.
We're going to see more of that then, because the other younger fighters must be watching, must be learning. They're going to see. Are we going to see more of this?
Yeah, well, I guess those two, like Diaz and Conor McGregor, are proof of the concept, right? Like, if the concept is that being a loudmouth, being brash, and like getting in people's faces, doing all sorts of things, swearing at conferences and throwing stuff, is what makes you millions of dollars, which those guys are likely to make, then why wouldn't that be the blueprint if you're a young up and coming fighter and were that way inclined?
But then again, I guess yeah, it's all down to character. I don't know if they can change, like, just like if you're brought up and you're just genuinely quite quiet and respectful, can you just put on an act? I don't know if these guys are that great as actors. You know what I mean? Like you see Chael, in a normal setting, very respectful and talking, and he switches. But I think he went out and he had an epiphany or some shit, and he goes, I'm gonna be this character, and I'm gonna take this to the next level. Maybe we'll see a bit of that coming through.
Yeah, that's right. Shao was definitely one of the early ones to have that obvious persona and character, like sort of playing to the WWE angle where their whole thing was like, your new persona in the Attitude Era will be you, but with your personality dialed up to like 11. So, if that's where they're going and you've got that in your personality, then I guess that's an option for you.
Yeah, and I guess the sad news about Chael's daughter. I mean, that as a father, that's got to be one of the. Well, it is the most horrible thing that can happen to a person, And we sent out a tweet to him today, but that just feels like fuck. Oh, Lucas, do you have, like, when you got that video of him? Did you get a fucking direct contact, some email or anything like that when you met him?
No, I didn't, unfortunately, but yeah, that was horrible news.
Yeah.
No one wants to go through that.
No. No one wants that. No one, that never goes away, I actually had a friend go through that last year.
Wow.
Into this year, actually, and that never, you can't forget anything like that. He'll carry that for the rest of his life. It's sad time.
Like, what was it? 10 weeks premature?
Yeah.
His wife had listeria and food poisoning, and baby was born premature and didn't make it.
Damn, 10 weeks that's a hell of a fight. So, that's tough. It's real tough.
Yeah. Anyway.
On that cheery note.
Sorry, we've got to change the subject somehow. So the TAB today, they gave me $5 for free. Shout out to TAB. I don't know. Thank you for that. But I had actually given up on betting on the MMA. I thought I'd be pretty good at it, seeing as I watched so much of it. But it turns out I was fucking terrible at it. I had a limit. I set myself a limit because I can get out of control with things of this nature. So I set myself but $20 a week, and if I didn't win it, then that was that. If I did, then sweet. I stayed in those confines of whatever I won. I got to spend the next week. So I was down to 20 cents, but now I've got $5.20. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna. I like to do a bit of multis where I take a lot of underdogs and I try and turn that $5 into $20,000 or $50,000. But it's just a guessing game, man. It's just button pushing. I'd like to hear you guys what you guys do with your money. in the UFC or MMA betting in general, because mine's just guesswork, man.
Low risk, high reward, a lot of fun.
Yep.
There's a lot that makes the fights fun. Even like what I do, it's like we've got the Fight Pass prelims this weekend. I'll just do a little multi on them, even though, who's Vittori? Yeah, but it makes it fun. Chuck them all on the underdogs or go with the favourites, whatever you want. Just adds a little spice to that for those Fight Pass prelims.
Yeah, try to give you like a little extra incentive to watch it all and things like that.
Totally,
You'll find you'll be bloody. Next thing you know, you're cheering for old Marvin Vittori.
Yeah, that's right. Like, another favourite of mine, Platinum Mike Perry. Spoken about him in the past. But yeah, like, it definitely, like you said, helps spice it up, adds something extra, and you're in charge of how much you spend. Once you put that money onto your account, then it's up to you what you want to bet. If you want to bet at all, when you want to stop, when you want to start. So, it's a real cheap way to have a bit of extra fun.
Yeah, I had real good luck at the start. Like, I think I chucked in $100 in my TAB account, and I got it up to a few thousand at the start, and I took some out, and it started to go down slowly now. I took a big hit on
RDA.
The Australian card, Tahuna and Dan Kelly. Hurt.
Yeah.
RDA and John Jones messed up.
As long as you're not pumping money into your account each week, and
that's
a lot of fun.
Like I'm similar to Anaru. Like I definitely have a tendency to get carried away with things that I enjoy. So I set myself a limit. Usually I'll go down to the TAB on a Sunday morning, chuck $10 or $20 on, and then just chuck the fights on during the day. As I've like rewatched I usually rewatch the weigh-ins, even though these days the weigh-ins are not really too useful to watch because you're not seeing the fighters at their worst. But I would usually watch the weigh-ins, have a look at the embeddeds, and then also the road to UFC, whatever it happens to be, just to get a bit of reference on it, and then chuck my bets on.
Yeah, those weigh-ins have really taken that out of the equation. Unless you're paying real strict attention to it, where they're actually telling you what happened at the early weigh-ins. Yeah, that person had to come back later on and weigh in again. You used to be able to look at the weigh-ins, man, and almost see, how well this weigh-in has gone for that person, and that could be a factor in who you put your bet in. But I'd still fucking lose all my money anyway.
If you're hardcore, you can definitely still keep in touch with the actual weigh-ins. All the big MMA news sites are at those weigh-ins.
Yeah.
They're posting pictures of everyone on the scales. So if you're at that level,
possible for sure. But
I remember a few weeks ago now, Lucas, you had a chat to Mark Hunt's coach about basically that, about the fact that all the weigh-ins are done under observation of the media, etc. And I remember at one point people were trying to sort of circulate a rumor that Brock had weighed in secret and all this sort of thing.
But it's just different now. They've it's a 2-hour window now.
Yeah,
8 to 10 a.m.
It's done for safety, and like the whole the steps that they're taking to protect the fighters. In the end, to protect the fighters from themselves, as it were, trying to get that advantage, etc. That I definitely agree with them.
Is there just one scale at, say, 10 o'clock, they open up one scale and say fucking 10 fighters turn up for that early one, they all have to wait in line?
Yeah, there's definitely only one scale.
Yeah. So there's that could take time as well, yeah?
I guess, but it's still better than what they used to have. All get
Yeah.
on a bus, go into a venue, wait till your name's called out to go out there.
And some guys are trying to cut still and shit, and it's bad timing for them. At least if you got that 2-hour window, you can push it to 1:50 for your weight cut, and then just try and get on the scale.
Ideally,
Yeah, I think they all try and get on early, and then have more time to rehydrate and stuff. Yeah.
That's it. The race from the scale to the cage is one that numerous people have mentioned is as important as the fight itself. Is getting that rejuvenation and rehydration, and from the time you weigh in to the time you actually have to perform.
Yeah, that's all part of the camp, really, and they say that, that they train hard. That's still part of it, finishing it off, and then hopefully the fight's easy, I guess.
Yeah. What is it, live in hell and fighting is easy?
Not sure. Maybe you might just made that one up.
So let's get on to these fights. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the fights and talk about the odds at the same time because that makes sense. So we're only going to touch on the major fights. So first one I reckon is a major fight. Sorry, Lucas, we're not going to talk about Marvin Vittoria, unfortunately. But we're going to skip ahead to the main event on the early Fight Pass prelims. Magny vs. Larkin. What are your thoughts, Anaru?
I'd have to go Neil Magny for this one. He's the favourite, but after what I saw him do to Hector, I couldn't go against him. To tell you the truth, that's where I'm at on that one.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Watching him perform against Hector Lombard the way he did, took a hell of a beating, and then came back to just dominate him, was awesome. I'm not a Lombard fan for numerous reasons, and Neil Magny just seems like a beast. And after Dan Hooker moved out to Colorado, trained with him, lived with him, crashed on his couch, etc., and had nothing but good things to say about him, I'm going to be a Neil Magny supporter for life, I think.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys both said. Masvidal's coming off that split decision. Larkin's coming off a split decision to Masvidal.
Yep.
And from memory, he looked all right, but it's nothing special. But Magny's run's just impressive.
Yeah.
Great to watch.
He hasn't lost. Well, he's lost once since 2014, and that was to Damian Maia, mate. So he's got like 8 wins and 1 loss out of the last couple of years. So he's doing all right.
He likes performing down under as well. He's been on a few cards down these ways. Always performs well.
Hopefully we can see him on in November.
That'd be awesome.
Did his girlfriend tell you that?
What the fuck? Well, there goes that Neil Magny interview. Yeah, I agree. Lorenz Larkin, he hasn't really lived up to the hype. Everyone talks about, every time he fights, it's always like, oosh, Lorenz Larkin, this is going to be the time. Let's do it. And it's, they've all just been average performances for me.
Yeah, he's not standing out in my memory right now as very dangerous coming across for old mate, the other guy.
Well, dude, look at the reach advantage to Magny, 8 inches. 8 inches reach, 4 inches on the legs, 4 inches, in height as well. So, he's just huge. He's more well-rounded. He's just ticks all the boxes. Interestingly, they have almost an identical record, 18-5 and 17-5. But still got to give it to Neil Magny for me.
Yeah, and I think it's been great following Magny since he fought in Auckland. He's gone 8-1 since then. That was just over 2 years ago. So he's fighting consistent. We're seeing him on our TV screens all the time.
And he's fighting good competition as well. He's not like sweeping up the bottom half of the top 10. Well, Lorenz Larkin isn't ranked, but we've seen him fight killers and people that have given other people huge issues in the past.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, man, he's all good. He's great fighter. I think he'll clean up Lorenz. I think it's good how they've changed. They have like these fucking what they call like an expo, like these featured fights at the ends of and the Fight Pass prelims and end of normal prelims. I think it's good. It's a good change, and it does bring in those last people trying to watch those fights. Brings them to Fight Pass, brings them to the prelims. A lot of people moaning about it. I think it's smart.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a great idea, and if you look at the Fight Pass prelims, the Fox Sport 1 prelim main event is Cody Garbrandt versus Takeya Mitsugaki, which is a fight we spoke about in the last podcast as well. But that fight potentially has some title implications.
Yeah, you got this guy fighting on the end of the prelims who could potentially, like you just said, be fighting for a title next. That boggles the mind almost, but it's bringing in that crowd, and then they're trying to obviously get you to pay for that pay-per-view next. Give you a good fight. What do you think about Cody?
There is actually some good odds on this one. Not head-to-head. Head-to-head, you're wasting time. $1.18. It's not worth your time, but Cody Garbrandt, KO, $1.85. I think I'll be chucking a little bit of cash on that one. I think that's the way I see the fight going anyway.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up that for maybe a few dollars, $5 or so. The other one is as like a hedge bet, because I'm a major hedge better. I just always counter my bets just in case. I would go Mitsugaki for $7 on the decision. Potential there, even just for $1. You can't really lose. What's $1? And also Garbrandt for $9 via sub. There's always potential there. Someone who's such a heavy-handed striker could rock Mitsugaki, put him down on the ground, and then jump on a neck. Alpha male known for jumping on necks, so you never know.
Yeah, man, it's a good thought process right there. And then any of those things can happen. That's the problem with the MMA betting for me. Yeah,
that's right. Like any of those things can happen, and those, like for me, those are the most likely things to happen. The decision would be least likely, the sub will be second least likely, and the $1.85 for the straight KO is most likely. But if you cover all the bases there, you really can't. Well, you can lose, obviously, because anything could happen, but it's a lot tougher to lose.
There you go. He lost to Uriah Faber by submission at WEC 52. So there's your alpha male theory.
That was a long time ago now. Shit.
2010.
Another good fight. Just kicking off the main card. Dirty Bird versus Homasi. One of my favorite fighters there. The Problem, Sabah Homasi. He's a bit of a striker. We had a look at his record before. Lucas, what did you see?
What did I see? I'm bringing it back up. It's his first fight in the UFC, but the regional promotions that he has fought in aren't scrubs. He's top four, Titan FC, Bellator, Strikeforce. So he's coming good background. He's fighting on cable TV, not these unheard of shows. So.
Well, Bellator, Strikeforce was absorbed into the UFC itself. Bellator, one of the latest title changes was to an ex-Bellator champion in Eddie Alvarez. Obviously that's where Bendo went, as you mentioned last week. Anaru, Bendo, former UFC champion, went to Bellator, got worked, basically. So, if you're fighting in Bellator, you're fighting in that cable regional scene, then you're good enough to be in the UFC.
Yeah, I just looked at his record too. One fight in Bellator, which seems odd to me, and then he went to Supreme MMA or whatever. I don't know the guy. I won't fucking sit here and fucking say that I do. But Tim, the Dirty Bird means, he's solid, bro. I'd go for him, but I'm not putting any money on that fight.
Some good lines there. Have you had a look at the lines, Lucas?
No, not on this fight. One thing I did just notice then, as Anaru said, I don't know that much about him, but he did fight 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So
Wow.
it was short notice.
In Titan, and he won by KO punch over Boy Patino, who's got over 60 fights, pro fights. So.
Jeez. Wow. So, he sounds like he was scooped up short notice. Do you guys know anything whether he's replaced someone on this fight?
Memory fails, bro.
Yeah, same.
Sure.
Doesn't seem like a matchup that you would make for Tim Means straight off the bat. And I remember last week when we were looking at the card doing episode 2, Sabah Hamasi didn't have any stats at all, didn't have an image at all. So it seems like he wasn't like bringing.
He's paying $4.20 to win, which is a good number for Diaz card.
Well, even Tim Means by KO is paying $2.10, so that is Tim Means pretty much his most likely finishing maneuver. But then if you look at Hamasi, his record as well shows that he's a finisher, and he's paying $7 for KO to KO. So he just KO'd someone 2 weeks ago. Potentially, man, $7 for a KO. That's something I'd chuck $5 at it.
Yeah, coming into the UFC, chance.
Marcy got the call up 10 days ago. Means' original opponent was Sean Strickland.
Oh, right. I wonder what happened to Sean Strickland.
Knee injury.
Ah, right. Well, that is another good fight there. Looks, good job getting a ring in like that. If you pick the round as well, there's some good lines here. Like Hamasi round 1, $9. Dirty Bird round 1, $2.50. Dirty Bird round 2, $6. So there's some pretty solid lines here. Head to head again, definitely one to avoid for basically for most TAB events if they've got other lines. But yeah, looks great.
Why is that? Explain that to me, because I don't know why you said that.
Lucas, do you want to sort of explain how the odds work and why you wouldn't take a...
Means is just such a big favourite, $1.20. To make anything worthwhile, the risk to the reward is just, it's MMA.
Yeah.
You want to make any amount of money on that at $1.20, you're chucking a fair bit of money on there. If I chucked $100 on there to make 20, Hamasi comes in, one punch, bang, there goes $100 just to make 120.
That's basically what, like in New Zealand we use generally we use decimal odds we use dollar odds as opposed to in the US they use plus and minus odds. So like $1.20 means for every dollar you put in you're getting $1.20 back, so you're getting jack really. But if you look at like $2.10 for a Tim Means KO, that's his most likely method of finishing the fight, and $2.10 is solid. You can chuck anything at that and get worthwhile money back.
Yeah, understood. I was just thought you were negating the whole head to head as a whole, even from the other side, like even the 420.
No, just on those sort of the big favourites.
Yeah, got it.
And because as Lucas has spoken about in the past, like the TAB, and I agree as well, the TAB odds makers are not amazing. It's often easier to play the better lines than risking more to play those lines. But yeah, I'm surprised they got so many lines on that fight. It's so early in the card. It's not really one that you'd expect.
This is the most I've seen for a pay-per-view. They've got Yeah,
Even the
way
next
more odds
fight.
than the whole main card.
Yeah, Lemon Perry, like Perry is another ring-in. Platinum Mike Perry is another ring-in, very late Shadow Fighter, 6-0. But, he's got full lines, full odds as well. So, who are you picking here?
Oh no, you've talked up Platinum Mike Perry. I might be just chucking some money on him for the hell of it.
Don't let me Joe Rogan you, bro. Don't let me honey dick you with the Joe Rogan talk up.
No, again, I don't know much more than what I've heard in the last day about him. Heard on another podcast that he's 6-0, but he has been rocked in a couple of those fights. That's about all I know about him. So coming up against a UFC quality opponent might get him in trouble. Who knows?
Yeah,
He's
John
another
is definitely a bona fide finisher, and he's a solid fighter. He's got good reach, etc. So, Platinum Mike Perry might be special. You never know. Be interesting to see.
I'm going for the ace.
The ace in the hole. But yeah, good lines for that one. If you want to go round by round, definitely good lines. Platinum Mike Perry paying $9 in the first, 13 in the second. Lim paying $2.50 in the first, $5.50 in the second. So either of those are good. And then you've got your method of victory lines, which are, man, they're great. $6 for Perry for KO.
I wouldn't miss this fight. Look at that, the KO percentage of these two fighters, 77% and 100%. They're going to be swinging.
Yeah, and if you don't think Mike Perry is going to be taking full advantage of this stage that he finds himself on, I think he's going to be going for it. So these guys are going to be swinging. I'm going to chuck money on Mike Perry for $6 for the KO, and chuck money on Lim for $1.80 for the KO. So, just chuck $1 on Mike Perry, chuck a few dollars on Lim, and then you're winning either way, really.
Oh, Mr. Safe Better over here.
I would rather win, a small amount each time than lose all my money each time.
Build the bank.
I'd rather turn $5 into 1,000 or lose $5. You know what I mean?
But I can turn $5 into $18.
Into what? 18.
And then I can turn $18 into $70, and then I can turn $70 into $300. Meanwhile, you're dropping $5 a week, but you're still getting the thrill.
Let's get the thrill, man. Get the thrill. The potential win's always there. Unless it's gone.
6 figures.
Yeah. Unless it's gone in the first fight, and then you're like, fuck this shit.
That's why I never ever do multis, because I have so little faith in my betting already. You think I'm going to do multis as well?
No, but you're looking at it. It's like $5 into 1,000. You're like, this feels good, man.
I know this is the one. This one. That last one was shit, but this one. This is my $5. Awesome. Next fight on the card, we have someone who just came back from an USADA holiday, Rick Story, versus the Cowboy.
Was that an USADA holiday?
That's what you said last week.
Yeah, no, but I assumed it was a USADA holiday because what he looks like when he's come back from that holiday. He's got an amazing USADA tan. Looks great.
Apologies to Rick Story.
Yeah, but it's Cowboys.
Killed another instrument.
Let's go Cowboy.
Yeah, I love Cowboy. Rick Story's got everything to fight for, though. He is, he's ranked higher than Donald Cerrone, but he's on his way out. If he loses this, it's probably not too long till he says goodbye. Yeah.
I saw Cowboy come in on that embedded the other day, and it was fucking Harley. He just rides into Vegas, and he's like, I'm just riding my Harley in. I come to fight. You know, probably wanted to say, "I come to fight and fuck," but he wasn't allowed to say that. But that's fucking what he wants to say. You know, he's just the man, bro.
He's like one of the only fighters that is allowed to ride his Harley and go fucking wakeboarding and do all this bullshit when he's got to fight the next day. Eh?
Yeah, no, he's cool.
Part of the image he's got to.
Yeah, I guess that's his marketing. Eh, that's his bottle chucking and swearing and mic dropping.
Yeah, you got a bet on that, Lucas?
No, just skip that one, I think.
Dude, good lines. I am going to go Cerrone by KO for 450, and I'm going to go Story for submission for 17.
Yeah,
even Cerrone for submission for $5, dude. What's up? Like Cerrone by decision, 325. All of these are sick bets.
Yeah, Cerrone will be too quick for him on the feet. Picking.
If you want to do a fight goes the distance is $1.75. That's another solid bet that anyone could take, because I don't see the fight going the distance. And if you say no, then it's $2 if you just want to go for that straight line. So, you know, I pick Cerrone overall, but you know, I'll go for any of those lines. Next fight. The co-main event.
Anthony Rumble Johnson versus Glover Teixeira. Did you see the embedded on these dudes? They both look phenomenal.
Yeah, they look great. They look like they're in some of the best shape of their life, and you know, these guys have got such great attitude as well. You know, if you saw the presser the other day when everything was falling apart, these guys are just like, "Yo, see you later, bro. Catch up."
Yeah. Glover's like fucking looking at Connor. Hey, taking everything I work for, motherfucker. He's like stealing his drinks and shit. And he's like, oh man, but yeah, they're just beasts, bro. You know, like they're just like so tough and shit. They don't need to say anything. They don't need to do anything. We just know that they're just explosive beasts. I can't wait, and I think I don't know. I'm picking Anthony Rumble, but that's because I like him more. But it could go anyway, I reckon.
I'm going for the upset on this one. I'm going for Glover by decision.
Are you consider him? You think he's the upset personally, or you think he's considered the upset?
Well, betting lines, it's
right.
It's the upset. Yeah, I don't know. I think he can avoid. The onslaught in that first minute.
Mm.
And in Glover's last fight, there, I've seen him like against OSP. He got OSP to the ground, and I just think Glover's got what it takes. Just got to avoid the big power in that first couple of minutes. Make it ugly. It's got to be an ugly fight for him, I think.
Glover's more technical for sure, eh? Like we've seen in all of his fights, he's not afraid to stand in the pocket, and he's skillful once he's in there as well.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen the lines for pick the round? Glover.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
$2.25 for Johnson.
Yeah, well, Glover in the first $9, in the second $11, in the third $15. Like, you know, those are solid lines for you, Lucas, if you're picking Glover.
Yeah, well, Rumble did gas out. Glover's good on the ground. You could see a submission in the second or the third. So could be something to have a little play around with. But
yeah, well, that's right. Definitely, man. I'm going to chuck some money on probably all of those. Dude, it's how you do it. It's how you make that money. Nah, but yeah, we want to have that. Sorry, no, don't worry.
Yeah, I get that. I do some crazy ones, and then I'll try and win my $20 back on some more easy, well, not easy picks, but more
safe bets.
Safe bets, yeah.
Dude, NBA season is my time to shine. Like NBA playoffs and finals, when all the teams are performing like bang, just on. So much more predictable, and I usually make hundreds over the course of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this today. You get to see that team every week and get a feel for their form. Where you might, you get to see this guy maybe once 6 months. They roll him out,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to go off his record. He might have, 6 months ago. You don't know it, and it's makes it much harder than fighting on than betting on something that's happening every week.
Yeah, like even rugby. Like Lucas, you're a big rugby better, are you? I know you're a
Oh,
rugby
not so much
supporter.
rugby. I did alright with the cricket, the 2020 earlier.
Cricket again is a more predictable sport. Obviously a lot more predictable than MMA, but those games, those seasonal games are, combat sports is just the most volatile form of sports there probably is. So, when you're trying to, even Dan Hooker, who, as we all know, is a huge student of the game, he mentioned when I spoke to him a few weeks ago that he can make all the bets, make all his picks and get 70% of them wrong, and people tell him that he doesn't know shit, and, the dude obviously does, and it just shows how anything can happen in MMA, and if you want to chuck money on it, just be prepared.
Yeah, a couple of times I've flicked a coin, made picks against myself, and the coin has beaten me several occasions.
The coin has a better record than you. How are you guys doing in the UFC pick'em that we have as part of our Combat Sports NZ page? Yeah.
I forgot to put my picks in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, so you've just fallen way behind now.
Crash and burned.
Yeah, I gave up on that. I can't bet with my head. I always bet with my heart and the fighters that I like, even if I can see that they'll probably lose. So I don't do too well.
I'm the same. I was probably above average at that sort of pick'em when I played it every week. But with the way it's designed, if you fall behind one event, 2 events, you got a lot of catching up to do because So makes it tough, but definitely interesting, and it's good when you've got a bunch of friends doing it as well. It's something. Have you guys looked into any of the overseas fantasy MMA leagues that they have?
DraftKings. Yeah, I'd like to look into that. I don't know if we can actually do it in New Zealand.
Right.
Of course, there's ways around that, but it could be a lot of fun for a group of mates.
Yeah, I remember in a previous role I had, we used to do a lot of bets around the office and stuff, and some weeks, I would love to have been doing those office bets now because with all the casual fans and stuff that are starting to join the sport, it would be like, oh, you want a $10 bet? Yeah, sweet, bro, let's do this. Just we'd be able to clean up compared to some of those casuals.
Bet on the big guy with the muscles at the pub. I'll take that guy with the tattoos.
Yeah, no, it's the game that we all love, and so Glover, you're going AJ, Anaru. I myself, I'm pretty torn with this one. Like betting wise, I'm probably gonna chuck some money on Glover, but I'd love to see AJ get back in there against DC. And get that rematch and do better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like AJ, man. He's a good dude. So is Glover, though, man. He sounds like a don when he talks now, like some kind of like mafia dude when he's talking. And they're embedded. It was cool. I liked it a lot, but I just like AJ a little bit more.
Yeah. Cool. So the main event, the reason we're all going to be watching tomorrow, well, one of the few reasons, one of the reasons, sorry, but the major reason that most of us are going to be watching tomorrow, Diaz versus McGregor. Who you got?
The smart money for me would be to put it on Diaz. I mean, but I have been supporting Conor since for a while now, and I'm not going to stop now. And in fact, the popularity of Nate has only egged on my my support even more, even further. I still
You're a
remember
classic
when he,
fan then.
I think it was, who the hell was it? I don't know if it was Chad or Siva, and I was the only guy there in a room full of Connor haters. Basically, they just wanted anyone to beat, and he won, and it was the most glorious feeling ever. And I can't wait to have that glorious feeling again on Sunday. It's going to be great.
Nice one. Yeah, it's definitely one that Connor needs to get back if he wants to maintain his marketability and his value.
Absolutely, yeah. He has to win this, man. It sets him up. Oh, mate, so many avenues open up for him. Like, he's only got that one, back to 145 if he loses, and he loses just all that mystique, and the whole shebang's gone. But if he wins, world's his oyster once more.
Dana actually said the other day, either way, I think he's going back to 145 to defend the belt.
Oh, well, we all know what can happen when Connor's
money
on a winning
starts
streak,
talking.
Yeah, when he's winning and multiple people calling him out. Who knows? Dana doesn't even know.
If he wins, there's a certain fighter just went back into the USADA pool from Canada.
Oh,
You know that's happened. He's gonna call him out.
yeah. Well, yeah, I don't even know if I'd like to see that fight.
No, he'd get wrecked.
Yeah.
George St.
But
Pierre.
yeah, that's right. He would probably just get put away incredibly early because his chin over the years just deteriorated and declined and declined and declined to the point where he can't really take shots at all anymore.
That would be a nice passing of the old torch, though, wouldn't it? And I'm sick of hearing GSP's name and not seeing any fights.
So you don't want to put some
being
respect on
fucking
his name?
signed,
Well, he's back
But
in the
if-
USADA
is
testing
he
pool,
back
so
in?
that's a start.
All right, that's a good start. Yeah.
What about GSP versus Chael? Pillow punches versus the grinder.
And that might not be the most entertaining fight.
Well, I think any fight.
Can they both lie on top of each other? Is that possible?
Well, they can spoon. That's kind of similar.
All right, hang on. What if Nate wins? He says he's the show. A lot of people didn't give a fuck about him before Connor. A lot of people supported him, but not like now. Not like now. It's like 90% of the fucking internet is
Complete role
Nate
reversal
Diaz
now.
supporter. Where do you see Nate go after a potential win against Conor McGregor?
You got to get him in the title 155, don't you?
Yeah, I see him going back to his division and fighting for the title. Potentially, or I don't know if he wants those titles there. I think he just wants the cash. So who knows who you might see him calling out. Like watching the Bad Blood this afternoon. I sat down and watched it with my girlfriend. Like the way he was portraying it, at least, his game plan to get to the money fight with Conor started at Michael Johnson. At that call out started.
Conference, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I get pumped. It was the idea in his head. Boom.
Yeah, that's right. And he even says, I can't believe all these people sat here and no one said anything. No one even threw a water bottle. He says those words. And then what happens, like a year and a half later, bam, he's in a conference with Conor McGregor, walks out of it, throws a water bottle.
If Diaz wins, I don't know if you remember Bellator a year or so ago when the Diaz brothers got in a scrap with Nurmagomedov's crew.
Yes.
So there's bad blood there, so that's a possible fight. It's not a good fight.
It's not a money fight. It's not a money fight for Nate Diaz, or a good stylistic fight for Nate Diaz.
No, both of those things are correct. He'll get suplexed around the bloody cage, mate. I'll tell you now.
Yeah, he could even get knocked out. Nurmagomedov is a legitimate striker as well. He's in that Russian mold of well-rounded, heavy grapplers.
No one's calling out Nate Diaz, are they? I haven't heard anyone going, not in the same effect as what Conor is. Well, I've heard 3 call-outs in the last couple of weeks. Like,
Yeah.
if everyone thinks he's going to win, then why aren't they calling him out already?
Suppose Cowboy doesn't want that one back.
Yeah, well, Nate has openly criticised Cowboy a few times as well, so, you know.
Did you see their fucking, whatever that was, and the Cowboy goes like this, like fist pump, and Nate's like, yeah. Like, they said that if they ever saw each other, they were going to have a scrap, and they seemed to be quite happy with meeting each other in the hallways at the UFC.
Oh, yeah? No, maybe, maybe they're a bit like Ev Ting, and you put that contract in front of them, and they'll fight with passion. But until then, they're just cool with everyone.
Does Nate still get paid, mate? He says he's the show. Say he wins, what's his next fight worth? Does he get paid as much? I'm not sure.
Does he tribally inherit that mana from Conor McGregor if he puts him away again tomorrow?
I think he stays where he's at right now.
And you think Conor
drops? Conor drops slightly. Nate stays where he is, which is very, very high right now. But it doesn't. I don't see it further unless he says something ridiculous on the mic when he wins. Something crazy call out.
Man, that's his post-fight interviews. They are half of the marketing for him, eh? That first one when they're on Fox Sport 1 and he's like, Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, and then that one straight after he beats Conor when he's like, I'm not surprised. Like, both of those sound bites, are on every single Diaz promo you'll ever hear from now on, and they're just marketing gold.
Yep.
And if you saw today's open workouts, which we spoke about earlier, Conor, he looked out of sorts. He looked out of ideas. He looked out of words. He basically said the same thing twice. He just said fuck Nate, fuck Diaz, and fuck you if you like him, and then bailed.
Yeah, I didn't see the whole thing.
That's if Diaz wins. That's not happening. Not happening.
You don't think Nate Diaz is going to win? You don't think there's any chance of it, or?
I'm going to get off the fence at some stage. I think I'm leaning Conor. That's what I saw in that first round last time.
Yeah, and you think this time he's just going to have more stamina and power to back that up and go for longer?
I think he just didn't fight smart, like he said. I know you watch some of those breakdowns that the big lefts he was throwing over and over again, miss.
And the spinning kick and all the nuances of his fight style where he'd kind of just dialed them all up in that previous fight. Potentially to his detriment. You still give credit to Nate Diaz for finishing the fight?
Oh yeah, you have to. You watch Dan Hardy's breakdown of the groundwork Nate did. That's very impressive. If you haven't seen it, look up Dan Hardy's breakdown for 202. It's a real good watch. But McGregor, the first round, he played around in Diaz's guard and landed ground and pound, got back up.
Yeah.
He
hadn't been hurt at all in that first round. It wasn't until that second round when some of those 1-2s landed, eh?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. It's close. But I've got to get off the fence at some stage, so I'm going to lean in towards McGregor.
Nice. Well,
if I bet McGregor, bet the house. If I bet McGregor, bet the house on Diaz, I have never won money on a McGregor fight.
Oh wow.
Mendes. I bet on Mendes, $100.
What?
Wow.
Aldo, bet $100 on Aldo. Gone.
Oh wow.
Diaz. I bet $100 on McGregor. Gone.
So you're kind of like a reformed McGregor fan now. Like you've gone from not supporting him in your betting
Oh, I've always liked him and enjoyed watching him. I just didn't think he was going to win those fights.
Yeah. Well, so do you think he's definitely going to win tomorrow? Full camps for everyone.
I didn't say definitely.
I'm going to go for Nate. Like I've been a Diaz fan since I first saw Nate on Tough all those years ago, and I'm not a McGregor fan either. So it's an easy choice for me to make to go for Nate Diaz. I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see him then go in and cash some major checks over the next couple of years and then retire. Go and teach kids jiu-jitsu and make those balloon animals for the rest of your life. Like, I'd love to see that. That'd be like a fairy tale ending for Nate Diaz, if you ask me. I wouldn't be surprised if he does it by KO in the second, maybe third.
TKO.
TKO on the ground, or
TKO, KO, whatever. Talking about betting odds wise, like
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he did that. But obviously, the most likely is that he takes, like, maybe hurts him again, similar to last fight, and it goes to the ground and he finishes it.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's a possibility, isn't it?
I can see all those possibilities. They can all. I can see them all happening.
Same. I could see Nate Diaz getting knocked out in the first 2 minutes from an incredibly pumped up and fresh Conor McGregor, but I could also see him adrenaline dumping and psyching himself out, and then just not performing when it's time to. He seems more rattled for this fight than I've ever seen him in any footage of him ever. He seemed out of sorts for the trash talking at the press conference, as well as today's open workouts. And yeah, Nate just seems so calm and cool and collected throughout the whole process, from the aftermath of the first fight to everything we've seen so far. He just looks great.
Middle name Patrick, last name's McIver. Double lean to the Irish.
All those McGregor fans find their Irish roots when it's time for him to fight.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I got Scottish roots, but I'm backing those Irish all the way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. That fight definitely makes the event. You cut that fight off, as Lucas said, and it's a Fox Sport 1 card all the way.
Great. Does Conor McGregor go back to 145?
If he wins, the world is his oyster, as Anaru said. If he loses, he's probably going back to defend his belt.
Yeah, I agree. On a loss, I think he just has to. It's the only card he has left to play, but if he wins, I think he lets that belt go. The more I see of those weigh-in picks, and with that hydration
Regulations,
weigh-in regulations, I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah, that's like I said last week. I don't even know if he could make that weight cut if he had to, without doing some major, a few months of prep for it, because especially if he's been bulking to keep himself up at welterweight.
But
yes,
then again, saying that, a little bit off topic, did you see Cyborg on the scales weighing 172, and she's got to make 140? McGregor reportedly walks around at 173, 174, so it's poor Cyborg.
So, he's still walking around at welterweight?
Yeah, apparently he's 172, 174 sort of thing, so there's no cut for him.
Talking about fight week weight, so he's just managed his weight really well over the camp, you think?
Yeah, the last fight he weighed 168, so sort of that would tell me he walked on the scales.
Yeah.
Without a weight cut.
Yeah. Well, folks, it's going to be interesting, man. For me, lines tomorrow. Diaz by KO $6, Diaz by sub $3.50. I'll chuck money at both of those. You know, I'll even chuck $1 on McGregor via sub for $21. You know, just because once you rock someone, anything can happen. He would have been living on the mats for the last 4 to 6 weeks, just working his jits. So if he gets Nate wobbly-eyed and starry-eyed and shit, who knows what he might jump on and grab. So I'd chuck money on that. I would chuck money on, will it go the distance? Actually, no, I wouldn't. Sorry, because that's saying $1.75.
Yeah.
But total rounds, I'd chuck some money on the total rounds there because, either winning in 2, either winning in 3, either of those are solid lines.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. McGregor's cool though. Round 2, KO, $7.
Doesn't he always call round 2 or round 1 by KO?
Yeah.
Either fighter wins round 2, $4.
Yeah, that's good money. That's what I'd chuck money at. And then solid bets. Hopefully walk away with some cash.
I don't see it going into those championship rounds. They're coming in wound springs. They're just gonna explode. There's so much tension.
I only think one of them would actually be able to get to those championship rounds, really. Wouldn't Nate really be the only one with the stamina to get 20-25 minutes deep into this fight and perform?
Yeah, you'd think so, but I mean, from Connor's mouth, he can go all day, he reckons.
Well, Connor says all sorts of shit, though.
Go all day, rounds on rounds.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. I guess we're going to find out in just over, about 16 hours or so.
Yo.
16?
I don't know. Whatever. The fights will be starting at about 10 or 11 hours.
Hey,
but,
you're a day ahead of yourself, Al.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I am. Anything else you guys want to chat about?
Oh, I've got a question for Lucas, the insider. The combat sport tours guy. Bro, have you heard anything about November's Australian card? When can we expect some more news? When do they usually release info regarding a UFC in Australia?
Well, the rumours were early November, Melbourne or Sydney. It's all gone really quiet. I don't know if it's anything to do with Whittaker having hand surgery and I think he's recovered from that now, but there's a lack of opponent for him, and obviously Mark's not too happy with the UFC at the moment, so that might also have something to do with it. But I'm just looking at their planned events at the moment. There is the next 9 weeks are booked up to October 15th. Then there's a week, 2 weeks off, and then they're in Mexico, Dos Anjos Ferguson, November 5th. Then UFC New York, November 12th. So maybe late
November, eh?
Late November, maybe, if it's still happening in November. Like I said,
they try to give a 2-month lead in where they can, but
they do tickets on sale generally 8 weeks before the event. Yep. They normally announce the event a month before that, so I would have expected we would have heard something by now if it was going to go down then. But
how many?
From memory, the Auckland card that snuck up pretty quick. I think we only had about 8 weeks.
That's right. We had almost exactly 2 months for that one from memory because I remember the day that announcement dropped. It was one of the greatest days of my life. But but yeah, that was definitely a highlight. So it's weird that they're leaving it so late because Dan Hooker himself, he said he wants to be on that card, and he referenced the November card, like it was a thing that was actually exists and is happening. So, it's interesting to watch that one develop.
I know a lot of us media in Vegas all had a meeting with Tom Wright and that, and apparently it was November was mentioned then. Around that was back in July, so hopefully it's still happening. It just might be later in November or sometime in December.
I have to send Peter Klosko an email.
Maybe another theory. Maybe they're going to wait a bit for how Kai does if he doesn't make the final or something. I
was thinking how many fighters from Australasia are involved in the latest season. Is it 8, like half of the fighters?
Oceania.
I mean, from Asia and shit, Asian champions.
Yeah, Asia, Australia. Like, what is the teams?
There's New Zealand, obviously. There's an Australian.
Is it like America versus the world, or is it just right.
Champions. They've all got a belt somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
There's one from Guam. So, yeah, I cannot tell you.
Didn't know they had a belt in Guam.
But they could potentially squeeze that in November still. Like they've done that before, where they have 2 cards on a weekend. You know what I mean?
Nah,
when was the last time they did those double headers?
I've thrown that away.
I can't remember one for quite a while now, because one of the cards was always going to bomb for the US broadcast times, because obviously if each card is like 6 hours long, and then they have like an 8-hour break in between, then you can't have them both on prime time. So
has that not happened for a while, has it?
Nah.
18 months. Easy now,
Back in my day, you could have 2 in like in one night. That's how we used to do it back in my day.
And we wouldn't watch one of them because it'd be when we were in fucking bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those cards. They would kick off at like 3 in the morning, and then you'd watch the first I would generally watch the second half of the first card, and then try and catch the second card when it's on later on that day. But I don't know. It can when it's on so often and stuff like that. I feel that it can cheapen the sport a bit. Like, dude, I remember when it was once a month, Rogan and Goldie, pay-per-view, the only other time you get to see UFC content was Tough. And I was watching every second of every single bit of content we got back then. Now it's like, we're spoiled for choice, I can watch an event anytime I want. Like, I don't have to sit down and watch it when it's on live. I can watch it 2 days later. I can watch it half an hour delayed. So it's awesome. I love having all that MMA and sport in general at your fingertips. But in some ways it can cheapen it.
No, agree. But UFC have definitely buttoned up. I think what they're doing at the moment, like you notice the last couple of weeks is almost a bit of an off season since 200. There's only been a couple of cards, make us want more. And then coming up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. 9 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to sort of let the whole scene breathe after Fight Week and UFC 200, etc. And also, I assume part of that is strategic towards trying to get sort of Mark's name out of the headlines and stuff. If the UFC itself just keeps a low profile, then things related to the UFC potentially keep a lower profile.
Yeah,
buy you a beer if you can name 2 or 3 of the main events in the next 9 cards, not counting Diaz McGregor. Without looking. Who's next week?
Who's next week?
I have no idea.
Is it Tony Ferguson?
That's in November.
I know. There's Stipe.
RDA is coming back soon, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, against Ferguson.
You guys are getting no beers. Here we go. We got next week. We got Maya Condit, Losky Barnett, Miocic, Overeem. That's pay-per-view. Poirier versus Johnson, Cyborg versus Landsberg, Linker versus Dodson, Bisping Hendo 2, Lamas versus Penn, which I do not like. That's
Ricardo Lamas and BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Philippines.
Yeah. After BJ Penn got wrecked by Nick Diaz, I wanted him to retire for a long time, but yeah, after that fight, I was like, that's it, bro. Just quit. Just stop. And yeah, then he fought Frankie Edgar after that, didn't he?
I don't know. I remember him fighting fucking.
Yep, right, fight. No, he had Rory, didn't he?
Rory
He went welterweight. He went welterweight, featherweight.
Yeah. Cool. So, anything else we would like to chat about before we wrap it up?
No. Wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. Cool. So, another good chat. Looking forward to the fights on Sunday. Weigh-ins will be tomorrow. You can catch it all on our pages at Combat Sports NZ on Facebook and iTunes. Not iTunes, Twitter, etc. But yeah,
2 days time, 3 days time.
Oh yes, that's
We're
right.
free from a USADA ban.
Yeah, we've been on a holiday of our own, which we'll be free from. So that would be great.
Yeah, we'll get into that on another occasion, and we'll explain our journey. Journey into nowhere.
Dude, it's the journey that led us to this point right here, to us, the three of us talking online. So, it's bittersweet, definitely. But yeah, that's it from me. Much love, everybody. I'll let you guys sign off as well.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. You wait your turn, mister. And hopefully everyone's enjoying these podcasts, mate. I got a lot of good feedback so far, which is nice. And my bottle's bigger than your bottle. Thanks, mate. See you later.
Later, everybody. Thanks for watching.